Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Eric.
Hello.
And we are kind of doing a reboot of a little segment we used to do called Don't Touch My Grapes, which was a Falcon Crest coverage that we kind of fell off on maybe back in the spring. So now that Eric has graciously offered to join me as a co-host, we're kind of going to do a recap of the first 8 episodes of season 1 of Falcon Crest.
Yes.
And get Eric's opinion on it. So I'm going to roll the credits and we'll get started. All right, so episode 1 is the pilot, but oddly enough, it actually has a title. Most pilots don't. It's called In His Father's House. So we have Emma Channing. That's her last name, right? Channing?
Yeah.
Running around with one of the workers from the vineyard, flirting, kind of, I don't know, what would you call that? Playing hard to get?
I would say, well, hooking up with, like, I don't know.
Teasing.
Yeah, teasing.
Yeah, kind of playing chase,
However,
hide and
Emma
seek.
can. Yeah.
And, just fooling around. And she gleefully lets out a scream that her Uncle Jason hears, who's drunk. And he thinks that she's being attacked. And he finds her with Turner, that's the name of the worker. And he kind of like pushes him around, tells him to stay away from her. And there's a little bit of a struggle. And I never really paid this close attention, but Emma kind of is the reason why he fell off of the ledge.
Yeah.
In a way, because her pulling on him kind of pushed him towards the edge, and then he fell and died.
Right.
I'll kill you! Huh?
Let
go! Yeah, I never noticed that before, and I've seen this quite a few times.
I think that's part of the reason why Angela covered it up.
To protect her?
Yeah. Just in case it would ever fall back on her. I think she would, because you know how she is with her kids. She's very overprotective and terrible, but to her own kids.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Angela has Chow Lee set up a scene where Jason's body is in his truck, and he makes the truck go over a cliff, and we see this explosion. And this is the story that the world is led to believe is how he died.
Yes.
While Emma watches this and watches him die for the second time.
Yeah, I even said, I have a note, like, they really shouldn't have brought Emma with them. They should have brought her home.
Right?
And then did that.
I didn't mean it.
So Greg walked in while I'm watching, and he's like, "What's her story? Why is she this way?" And I'm like, "Well," I was like, I think she was always a little bit quirky, and this just kind of like sent her over the edge. I was like,
Yeah.
and when she gets over this, she's just quirky again.
Yeah. Well, for a reason. I mean, I feel the way Angela is with her and Julia, it's plenty of
She's a
reasons.
full-grown woman, but she still has like this child mentality.
Yeah, I feel like she's like autistic before they were allowed to say that in a way.
Oh, maybe.
That's the way I looked at her as all because she always, you don't see her decisions throughout the series, and feel like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a slow type of autism thing going on.
Um, Jason's son Chase, who lives in New York with his family, is informed of his father's death, and him and his wife Maggie fly to San Francisco for the funeral. Their daughter Vicky seems to be sleeping around with an older man and possibly a teacher. I wasn't really clear on that.
Yeah, it was the teacher. That's what
Because
Cole
they did
said
mention
something
something
about.
about going all semester, so that made me think, okay, is this a teacher?
And Cole
And
said
then I
something
also wasn't
about
sure if
Mr.
Vicky was a
something.
college age or if she was in high school. Like I wasn't sure like how old
Yeah,
she's supposed to be.
yeah, I'm not sure either. I feel like 18.
Cole is kind of aware of this and he has had enough, so he ends up going to the apartment of the said older man and breaking in and attacking him and gets arrested for attacking him and breaking in.
Yes.
Um, so at the funeral, Angela offers to buy the 50 acres that was left to Chase. That was
For the
Jason's
first for the first time she tries to offer.
for the first time. um,
Very nicely.
and
She
she
was
has her
very lovely
lawyer,
with
who
them.
we see throughout the first few seasons, kind of explain the codicils and the will and everything. Um, that if Jason would to die of natural causes, then Falcon Crest would go to Angela. And you kind of see her like, it wasn't really natural causes, but all right. um, we also see Angela's kind of grooming her grandson Lance to take over should she die at some point. Um, and my last note really, I had very like short notes this time, was that Chase decides to move the whole family to San Francisco and take over his father's land, fix up his childhood home.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have anything that I didn't say in your notes?
Um I have oh, I feel like this is where we get to see like how Angela is with Julia as well. How she tells her to go have a drink and calm down. The first time out
Mm-hmm.
of many to come. Um, as Julia is one of my favorite characters, and rewatching this, she still is because I feel like yeah, she seems like she's very beaten down by Angela and very put down, but I feel like it's obviously for because of what she's gone through with her crazy mother, all these years, and that's probably what it did to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she just kind of puts her down, and Julia just moves along, and whatever. Yeah, I have that Cole got arrested. You've said that. Oh, Angela tries to get rid of Gus, but Chase
All right.
says no,
Mm-hmm.
keep him around. And she's like, okay, she's trying to be nice because she wants to get rid of him in any possible way. She's like,
She
let me
doesn't
be
want to
as nice as
show
possible.
her true colors just yet.
She's like, let me. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll keep him. Uh-huh. And then, yeah, and then I even have it to end. Angela welcomes them with open arms because that is how
or
it
so
ends.
or so it appears.
So it appears.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, episode 2 is called "The Time for Saboteurs." Chase's friend. I actually did not like this episode at all. Chase's friend
Really.
Paul flies into town. I felt like it was like filler, and I'm like, we're on episode 2, and this already feels like a standalone filler episode.
I don't feel that way with Falcon. Like I just feel like everything is laid down and like the relationships are very worked on and built up into the first season. Because
For the
remember,
main
the
characters,
writer and
yeah, but
creator of this.
this felt like a random like nothing character that we never hear about again. Like,
Yeah, I mean with this character, yes, but we did get introduced to Douglas in this episode, which is important. And
mhm.
I don't know, I feel like I don't know, like I just love the build up of Falcon Crest. So I'm glad they gave it another season because I feel like, they don't give things that much of a chance that slowly
Yeah.
build like this. So
Well, you mentioned
yeah.
Douglas, and I put Angela still goes on dates with her ex-husband, which I always think is
Yeah.
hysterical. They're like best friends.
They're so cute. I love them. They get her with like the best men ever, and you're like, how does she get these guys? Because she's so evil. And she just has like I guess like a little tiny heart, and they're like, I want this, and I guess it's like a challenge to a man, like in a way, like I will get this
Uh-huh.
woman who only wants her land, to fall in love with me. I don't know. It is
Um,
bizarre, but he's so cute.
Paul kind of tries to romance Julia a little bit.
Yeah.
He looks like he seems to owe people a lot of money, and he's trying to scam other people for money in order to pay off his debts.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Um, he kind of makes a deal with Angela that he could get Chase off of Falcon Crest and out of the valley.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
she didn't
he
even come up with that idea.
so he kind of inadvertently learns from Julia like how too much rain could be bad for the vineyard, and he turns on the irrigation valves at night to kind of flood the vineyard.
Yeah.
And Julia tells Chase that flying a chopper over the crop would create enough wind turbulence to dry it out and possibly salvage the crop. And then she realizes that she explained inadvertently to Paul how he could destroy it.
Yeah,
um,
I felt bad for her.
Paul thinks that he succeeded and comes to Angela for money, thinking like, "Oh, I ruined his crop. He's gonna leave. Give me money." And she's like, no." She's because Angela's like, "Yeah, I want him gone, but I also want that
Yeah,
land. I don't want it to be ruined. Like,
right.
you're
It's
messing
her
with my
land
money."
too. Right, right.
um, so she runs him at a Falcon Crest, and she actually phones Chase and confirms that it was him that did it. And Chase kind of confronts him on the tarmac at the airport and kind of feeds him to the wolves of the guys that he owes money to.
Yep. Have Chase
So
punches Paul.
yeah,
But yeah, I see what you mean, how you can see how it's filler, but it works on relationships with Maggie and Julia. Um, I love how she gets Chow. You see Angela with Charlie. Charlie, you know, one of many times. I love when she does that so much, and then he's like, "Yeah, who do I gotta get rid of? Yeah, what's up?" Um, what else?
I like the moments where like Angela. This is later on in the show, but like Angela has moments where she cares for Charlie as a
Oh yeah,
person and like almost like family. Like because she's concerned when he's not doing well and
yeah, yeah.
he has
She's
family
more concerned
issues.
about him than her own daughters. She'd
Yeah, I
rather
like
deal with.
those
Oh
fleeting
yeah,
moments she has.
oh yeah. She has a few. Even in
Yeah,
these early episodes that we're talking about, like I feel like she has a few pretty strong and good moments that, yeah, she might not be doing it for love of these people, but she's doing it a little bit to help them in a little baby way. But
yeah,
I mean, she thinks it's going to help destroy them, but I mean, she's
yeah.
helping them, but not.
Do
But
you
yeah,
have
there
anything
wasn't
else
too
to
much
say
in that
about this
episode.
episode?
No,
No.
I just love Julia, so anytime she's on, I'm happy. So I like seeing her have some happy moments in that episode.
Yeah. So episode 3 is called the Tangled Vines. And the Geobirdies are fixing up the house and the land, trying to get it ready so they can make it a working vineyard. Um, Chase is kind of lashing out at Cole because Cole's trying to be helpful, but he kind of wants to do his own thing. He like wants to do archaeology. And so when his dad like lashes out at him, he gets like emotional. It's like, I don't even want to be here, this stupid vineyard.
I'm done. Then he walks away.
Yeah. He like ruined a tractor, but not on purpose. And Chase, I don't like Chase. I've made this well known to you, Eric, but I know you do. So we're gonna probably butt heads on that a few times.
I know, and listen, I know, I see how you don't. I do. Because like I see, especially with rewatching it. Uh, how he is with his family. He was kind of like doing his own thing, not really caring about his family in the first place. And then he
Hmm.
comes to, here and he's like, let's try to work on our family. And that's what I like about him. I feel like he sees his flaws and he
Mhm.
tries to work on them. And you'll see what I
Mhm.
mean. You see it as you watch these episodes. You see like when later in a little bit when Maggie gets a job, like stuff like that. When he gets angry and he's like, "Why?" And then he's like, "All right, I gotta calm down." Like, so like I don't know. I think this is why the actor probably chose this character because I feel like it's a really, I don't know, he's a really good character to me, like character development wise and whatnot. But go on. Sorry.
Oh! Hey!
You'd wait till I got back. This is a job for two
I
men.
thought I could do it by myself.
Worked great, didn't it?
Look, I didn't see the ditch, okay? And it wouldn't have mattered whether you were here or not.
That's hardly the point, is it?
Look, I'm sorry about your tractor. But I'm sick and tired of this vineyard.
Angela asked Lance to take Cole and Vicky out to get to know them better to see if she can
Mm.
gather any information on what's going on over at their house and with their vineyard. So there's this guy Carl Reed who has a winery. So I guess he buys grapes from vineyards,
Hmm.
and he kind of makes like a verbal deal with Chase. And Angela finds out about this, and he ends up coming to lunch with them, and he knows something's up. So he's like, no, he's like, I have a deal with Chase. Like, he's like, you may own like a substantial part of this valley, but you don't own everybody and everything. So then she takes it upon herself to buy the mortgage for his winery. So now she
And
does kind of own him.
this is when you really start seeing that type of stuff with Angela. Like you're like, okay, this lady is not what she's saying she is, and trying to help these guys out.
Yeah. Lance ends up taking Cole out one-on-one for a drink, and he kind of like picks a fight with the bartender. And when the bartender said you have to go, it's closing time, he like drives the Jeep into like the opening and makes like the scaffolding fall. Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
Dick.
But then he like pays it off the next morning and lets the bartender think that it was Cole that did it.
Right.
I love Lance, but I don't like when he does stuff like that.
Well, see, that's another thing about the characters I love so much with Lance. Like, I hate him at times, like this. He's screwing over Cole, but you see how he lives. You know what I mean? And you're seeing how Angela and his mother is controlled by Angela. And when you see all of that, it's like when he acts out, you're like, I get it. Like, he's and then like Angela wanted him to do these things. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, do whatever you can. We need to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But in a nice Angela way. Go
on. So Angela lets Chase know that he should go to the bank and try to get a loan, because that's what most businesses do that need money. Knowing very well that she like already made a phone call so that he would be denied the loan, which is what happens.
Yep. Yep.
So then Maggie and him debate selling their brownstone in New York, and they kind of have a family meeting with the kids. And Vicky's like, I don't want to be here. Like, all my friends are in New York, like school, like my dancing, the theaters. And then Cole's like, well, I could give it a try. And then literally within 5 seconds, she's like, yeah, I guess I could give it a try too. I'm like, wow, that was a switch.
Well, that's why that's why the family bonds are important. Like in these little, like even if it's like the little scenes between Maggie and like the second episode and Vicky, like they're getting along and they're not at times. But that's why I feel like Vicky, she loves her family, so she wants to do what, you know what I mean? That's it, to me. That's what turned her mind around. She's like, all right, well, if my brother is doing it, I'll go. Like I feel like they have such a good relationship. And that's what's important in these episodes. Like it may seem like filler, but it's working on their relationships, onward. And I love that. Good storytelling to me.
So they end up selling the brownstone in New York to get the money, more than enough money, and they make sure to let Angela know. And the episode ends with her and Lance just kind of being like foiled again. And I feel like so many of like those earlier episodes end like that. Like, damn it, like they got away again.
Yeah.
We've sold our brownstone in New York. Well, I salute your courage.
Oh, it's not courage, really. It's more a matter of priorities.
Well, it wasn't an easy decision to make, but we feel we belong here.
You know, that house of ours in New York had gained so much in value, it's absolutely staggering.
Gosh, it is. And when that escrow closes, we are going to have enough, Angela, to keep this place going.
Well, this really is a celebration. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a toast to all of us.
Uh-huh.
To a long and happy association.
Oh,
I'll drink to that.
something.
Yes, they did.
Do you have anything else for that episode?
No, I think I have all that. Oh, I do have that Emma mentions that Uncle Jason died twice. I have that. That's important.
Yeah.
Um,
She's kind of locked up in her room. You kind of hear her like sometimes screaming, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing.
Singing,
You don't know like what's
dancing.
going on.
I also have the Angela sculpts. Remember, she was sculpting that thing of her dad. It was
Oh yeah.
sculpting. I'm like, this is the only
the
time we
beginning,
see like we see like an artistic side of Angela that I don't think we ever see again. But I did write that.
Now that you mention that, I feel like I remember her painting in that room at some point.
She might. I don't
I might be
remember.
making that up. I don't know.
No, you might be right. She might do like little things like on the side of scheming.
It calms her nerves.
Make sure everything's going smoothly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
She's good though. Okay.
episode 4 is called The Harvest.
Uh-huh.
Angela cuts Lance off financially because he's partying all the time, sleeping in, not really like staying focused on Falcon Crest. And
Mm-hmm.
he blows up Chase's pump house and thinks that will please Angela.
Mm.
But again, that could ruin the crop. So she's like, "You're messing with my money." Like,
Yep.
he's really snarky. Vicky's kind of been dating Mario, which is the son of some of the workers, one of the workers, and he says something to Vicky. He has a line where he says to Vicky, "You're not doing the family reputation well by messing around with a picker."
Mm.
And then he sees them at one of the bars or clubs dancing, and he picks a fight, and poor Mario ends up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Does he get stabbed?
I don't think he did. I don't think they ever say what happened to him. I don't remember.
Because
I
when
remember
Vicky
when he
was
went
in
to
the
the
hospital, I felt like they said he was stabbed, and I'm like, who stabbed him? Like
Maybe they
Lance
did it off screen,
Lance did.
but I don't. You just saw like a little action, but you didn't really know what happened, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Angela's car breaks down, and Cole helps her out. So she kind of takes this opportunity to like get to know him, show him around Falcon Crest, teach him about the family history, and she seems to kind of be looking at him as a replacement for Lance.
Yeah. And
She
I
tells
feel
him
like
that he could inherit it one day, and Lance is kind of like eavesdropping because he's in hiding from the police because of the fight with Mario.
And I feel like with Angela too in this one, I feel like she's like with Cole, she's like, I can groom Cole to piss Lance off and to piss off Chase and Maggie. Like I feel like she's like, if I just become friends with Cole, I can screw everybody. Like this is good for me. Like I don't know. And it comes across like that too to me when she's like walking him around and she's just like, and this is this, and I don't know. She's always scheming.
Now, Cole, this is our tasting room. And these are the portraits of your ancestors who dedicated their lives to building Falcon Crest. So you see, it isn't just a vineyard. It's a kingdom. I'd planned on leaving all of this to Lance. But Lance has disappointed me. And I've been watching you. You know, Cole, I want you to know that I'm watching you very carefully.
Well, I'll try not to disappoint you.
I want you to come to see me more often, Cole. I want you to feel at home here.
Thank you.
She ends up buying Cole a car, which, Chase is like, you need to give that back. Like, and he's like, no, this is my car.
My car. Speeds away.
It's my
I
life,
would've
I'll
been
do what I
the
want.
I would have been the same. I'm like,
And he
"Give
ends
me
up
car."
staying the night. He ends up staying the night at Angela's. And he hears, Emma making the noises that she makes. And he's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So Chase, his picking crew ends up bailing on him because they were threatened and paid off. And we find out a little bit later that it was by Lance, because Lance decides to tell Angela this while Cole is still staying at the house. And Cole overhears this and gets upset and goes running back to Chase to tell him that it was Lance and Angela that pretty much screwed him. Chase ends up confronting Angela at one of her, I don't know if you would call it a dinner party, because all her parties just seem like wine tastings.
Yeah, right. I have that too.
And they go into the office and he pretty much says, like, you're gonna make sure that my crew is back in the morning or I'm gonna report you or whatever. And she's like, I won't be pushed against the wall, you'll find out my answer in the morning.
I love that. Spoiled again.
Yeah. And the crew shows up and the whole family helps out filling up the
other
bins
good
and
family
the
moments.
trucks with grapes.
Right.
Do you have
I
anything
also
else to say about this?
I also love with Vicky, when you see this Vicky, when she comes back as Dana Sparks later,
Mhm.
she seriously never had any character growth because she's like the exact same annoying teen. Well, I guess she's in her 20s when she comes back, but she was a teen,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Making
It's
the
just
same
funny to me.
mistakes.
When I'm watching this Vicky, I think of the other one because I'm like, they're very much the same character. She does no character growth whatsoever. But anyway, so yeah, regarding this episode, I also have that Lance went and finds Emma in the spring house and asks her about Jason's death, and she says, "You're not nice." I love that. And it makes them kind of look like, oh, I don't know. It makes them feel kind of sad. It looks like. I have Vicky and Mario kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Angela got the charges dropped. Remember when she went to have she went to Gus and the mom.
Oh yeah, because so she offered them a scholarship for Mario to go to college.
For Mario, yeah. I like that too.
It was kind of politely threatening. They were like, "Well, maybe we could drop the charges if we get that scholarship." Like it was like, and they were like, "Oh, this is great!"
Like maybe they weren't going to press charges, but they were just like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure." I don't know.
Yeah, just insurance.
Exactly. But that cracked me up.
How is Mario?
He's mending.
It was an unfortunate thing. I was especially sorry that it happened to Mario. He's such a dependable young man.
We do agree, Mrs. Channing. Mario is a good boy. He's honest, and he's a hard worker.
He didn't start the fight.
I know. Well, the Nunes families have always been so closely tied to the Gioberti families, and I'm sure that Mario wouldn't do anything to jeopardize either. I really came to tell you that I think Lance acted badly. And I feel obligated to you.
It was his doing, not yours.
Being on the board of trustees at the university, I'm aware that the Channing Scholarship hasn't been filled this year. So if you like, I could explore the possibility of Mario receiving it.
Mario's education is more important to Alicia and I than anything.
Oh, as it should be. But I do think it's rather silly for him to come all the way back here to testify at a trial when he should be studying.
I think it would be to everyone's interest, Mrs. Channing. if we drop the charges against Lance.
Alicia, would you send my very best regards to Mario?
Of course.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is called Tony Comes Home. And I always, whenever
love
I
John
see Tony,
Saxon.
what's the actor's name? John Saxon.
John Saxon. I love him so much.
I'm always like, oh, the dad from Nightmare on Elm Street, because that's where I
Yes.
first saw him.
That's where I first saw him, and I loved him then. Even though he was a terrible dad then too. He didn't wake Nancy up.
So I have Tony comes back to town after 12 years
On Julia's birthday.
on Julia's birthday. Apparently, he's been trying to call her, and she hasn't been answering or calling him back.
Of course.
So that's why he kind of stormed it in.
Charlie holds all
Angela-
his calls.
Yeah. So he eventually gets through to her, and they have like a day together to catch up. We don't see that. That kind of happens off screen. Most of it, anyway.
Yeah.
Angela arranges for Maggie to have an interview at the New Globe because she finds out that she's a writer. But I'm like, how is she only finding this out in episode 5? I feel like you would have found this out in the pilot.
I know.
What do
right?
you do for work, Maggie? Like that would have happened a long time ago.
I guess because they really haven't had too many scenes together at that time. So
Yeah.
I just throw it in there.
Yeah, I didn't like Chase's reaction when he found out that she had an interview. Because he's
I
like,
know you wouldn't.
you've been freelance for 8 years. Why do you need a job? Like, well, first of all, she's not working. She's only working on the vineyard.
You got to remember the time. All right, so it's like 1981, and Chase is very, I'm the man, and I need to make the money, and I need to support the family. That's why he beats himself up all the time when he can't do that, and that's why he feels like she shouldn't have to do anything. He should be supporting her, and I feel like it's just a hit to his male ego. So, I get why you don't like him. I do.
I get that. I don't agree with it though.
but again,
it just
he
feels
works
like
out
anytime anybody wants to do their own thing, he like flips out. He's like, "Why don't you want to do my thing?"
I get it. But at the same time, he does open the door. Like he makes his character grow through these things, I feel.
I know he eventually comes around and realizes he's being a jerk, but I don't like that that's always his first response.
Yeah, that's just him, I guess.
Julia and Tony decide to try and make it work, have another go at it.
They're so cute.
But Lance has like no interest in reconciling with his father.
Yeah, he feels abandoned. And I'm sure Angela didn't help anything with that.
Angela encourages Lance to find out what is Tony really doing back. Maggie ends up getting the job, and she's so exhausted working long hours that she's kind of neglecting her marriage. Like when she comes home, she just wants to go to sleep. She doesn't want no hanky-panky.
Right. I love how quick it all happens too. I'm like, this would never happen with a training reporter on her first day. Like, I'm like, anyway, it's soap, so we gotta like be like, all right, yeah, sure, that can happen.
But also, Douglas owns the paper, so Angela could have been like, working to the bone.
Yeah, right.
Make them want to go back to New York.
Yeah, but it's Douglas. He would never. Douglas is great.
So, Lance finds out that his parents are trying to buy land and start their own vineyard, I believe.
Yeah.
And he reports back to Angela, and Angela ends up buying the land underneath them.
Of course.
In the end, Maggie decides to leave the job and return to working on the vineyard. So Chase got his way.
Right.
But not because he pressed it, mostly because she realized she missed her family.
Yeah, she missed her family, husband. and she's still able to do what she wants to do during the day. So I think that worked out.
It's not really clear who did this, but I put Angela hires an actress to say that she's pregnant with Tony's baby. and that they live
Yeah,
together.
they never say it. That is one
It
thing.
could have been Angela or Lance. They both are just kind of standing next to each other, so it's like, maybe they both did it.
Yeah, they never say who did that, and I'm like, I'm so curious about that because I'm like, that could. I mean, it didn't really change her mind. You know what I mean? Like she was
No.
still going to go with them, but for some reason, like Angela's control, she can't leave. Even Lance,
Yeah,
when he said that to her, he's like, "You can't leave." She's like, "Yeah."
she's upset, and even though she doesn't really believe it, she knows what's going on. And he
Right.
convinces her to leave, but then, like, at the door, she changes her mind.
Mm,
And she says to Angela, one day I'm going to be strong enough to actually leave this place.
and she sure is.
Someday, somehow, I'll find the strength to leave here.
Do you have anything else to add?
I have Douglas and Angie do lunch. As one of their dates. Julia stands up to Angela a couple times. It was nice to see, instead of being put down all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a lot. Yeah, and then the woman comes, says she's pregnant, Tony's baby, all that stuff. No, that's all I got.
All right. Episode 6 is called Kindred Spirits. Emma's erratic behavior is causing the family concern.
Wait,
Maggie
Lance,
finds a clinic that
wait.
might be able to help her.
You missed the first scene. Lance's first Speedo.
I didn't see that. I must have been looking down, writing notes or whatever. I didn't see
It was
that.
the first thing. Remember, he was swimming around with that girl in the beginning. Angela comes out.
Oh, yeah.
He gets out in
Yes.
his Speedo.
I must have not have seen him get out of the pool. I must have looked down.
Poor timing.
Yes.
He does fill a Speedo nicely.
Vicky follows a dog upstairs into Emma's room, and they meet for the first time and realize that they're cousins. They're cousins.
I feel like we never seen this dog before, and we never see this dog again. I don't think.
No, it was a plot point. It was a way to get Vicky upstairs.
It was very bizarre.
So Vicky kind of inadvertently tells Emma about the clinic and how maybe it could help her, and Emma's like not about it. So she sneaks out in the middle of the night and sleeps in the vineyard. I'm like,
wait, she doesn't get a chance to not be about it because Chow Li sends her away. Because at first she's thinking, she's like, oh, maybe. And then Chow Li's like, you need to leave. Your mom's downstairs. And that's when, and then Emma's looking like, maybe I could use some help, in a way.
mm-hmm.
Go on.
But she ends up sneaking out in the middle of the night and sleeping in the vineyard. I'm like, if you're gonna run away, why? You can get a little bit further than the vineyard. Come on.
She don't go far.
No. So I in my notes I've been calling the spring house a cottage, but then I was like, oh, they're calling it the spring house, so the spring house. She ends up going there and hiding out, and Vicky kind of is keeping her secret because they're kind of bonding, getting to know each other.
Yeah, I love them when they bond together. They're cute.
Where am I? Oh, so Angela wants Lance, Chase, and Cole to go survey some land.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really like this part of the episode. I felt like it was a waste. Because Cole ends up falling off the horse and hurting himself. And Lance leaves them there and he goes for help. And he ends up at some woman's house and he's so tired that he falls asleep. And she's like, I'm just going to lay next to the sexy guy. And then her boyfriend comes home.
With a gun. I'm like, this is the shit that happens to Lance all the time. But I
That
don't know. I liked it because I like to see Cole and Chase bonding too, and I felt like it kind of they needed some father son time and near death
Mhm.
experience.
So
It reminded
Vicky
me.
ends up.
It also reminds me of Dallas. Remember the Dallas? JR, Bobby, and Jock go away, and Ray.
Oh yeah, and yeah.
Reminded me of that. Then they go away, and then they're missing or whatever. It's like one of
Wasn't that
those
in like
episodes.
season 4 or 5 or something like
I don't even remember. I thought it was early on. I thought it was like two. I don't remember. It was a long time. I
Oh,
gotta. You know.
it was the one
Side
where
note,
Bobby and
Dallas.
like JR go missing. And doesn't he like put like smoke signals or something for like the helicopter to find them? And he's like, just like you taught me, Daddy,
I
or
thought
something
it.
like that.
I thought it was Bobby. I thought there was four of them that way. I don't. I really don't remember. But did you hear about? Side note with Dallas. Did you hear that it's coming to high def on HBO Max
I
for
heard
its
rumors.
45th
Is it
anniversary?
official?
I
Is it
believe it's
official?
official. I read that HBO Max has the rights, so I'm thinking for probably coming back in March. I'm assuming that. But yeah,
March.
apparently,
Hmm.
yeah, for the 45th anniversary,
Oh,
March,
cool.
April, I think something like that in there.
I'll have to
But
Google
anyway,
that once we get off and
yeah,
get all the details.
I'm gonna rewatch that.
um,
But go on. What were
Vicky
you saying?
Vicky ends up
So yeah, it was
convincing
like one of
Emma
those
to go
episodes.
home, and they agree to be each other's
After
friends
the
and
cops are
confidants.
there.
What?
Yeah. After the cops came, remember the cops were coming and she thought
Yeah.
that maybe she reported her or whatever. And where did those cops go? I guess they were just looking around the cottage because they never came in. They were just like, should we
Right?
leave or whatever? That was really weird. Go on.
Yeah. Um, so Angela ends up like later on when she's in bed, Angela asks Emma if she talked about Jason and the night that he died. And Emma responds, "What night?" Like she just kind of like is delusional and like out of it.
Yeah.
And again, this is like one of like a few episodes that kind of ends with like Angela kind of trying to like figure out what Emma has said to somebody, and then just
Hmm.
like it ending on her being concerned.
Yeah. She's something.
I did like this episode. I like the bonding of Vicky and Emma.
I love that. And then it's funny also, we're at episode 6 and Emma's just meeting Vicky.
Yeah,
What happened
because
with
she's been
that?
locked away the whole time.
Right, I guess, yeah. I guess she
I
didn't
don't
go to
even think
Jason's
Cole has met
funeral.
her.
I don't
Like,
remember.
because even though Cole stayed the night, he never actually met her. You just heard her like crying or whatever she
I
was
have
doing.
that he bumped into her, I think, but
Oh,
I
did
don't
he?
think they said anything. I think I had
Oh
that.
yeah,
I
he
don't
did.
remember
Because
what it
before he
was.
overheard Lance say that he paid off the
Yeah,
pickers to like bail, she asked him if he could get like a letter or something to Turner. So they
yeah,
did
yeah.
meet.
They had that
Um,
little moment.
so speaking of Turner, episode 7 is called The Extortionist. Turner Bates is back. It's Bates, right? It's not Baines.
Yeah, Turner
Turner
Bates.
Bates. Yeah, because I was like,
I
oh,
feel
like
like you
Bates
can have a
Motel. That's
drinking
how I
game with
remembered
Turner Bates. They say Turner Bates so much in the first season.
it. um, Maggie thinks she might be pregnant, and I did
Hmm.
not like Chase's response. I didn't not like his attitude, and I didn't think it was cute when he was like, I'll divorce you," but then he was like, "Just kidding." I'm like, oh yeah,
He
so
was.
funny. It's so funny.
I love their moments. I love my Maggie and cheese.
um, Turner ends up like sneaking up behind Emma to show her that he's back, and they kind of start sneaking around, and they sneak off to the spring house where I wrote they lit a candle and the whole room lit up. Like that one
Yep,
little
that's how
place
it
lit the
works.
whole room up.
That's what my lighting is. It's one candle.
So he keeps asking her, like, what happened to Jason? Because he saw Jason fall, but the story that he's getting is that Jason drove his truck off the cliff. So he, like, wants to know how that happened. So he
Right.
constantly keeps
So he
asking her, and
can.
she's kind of out of it. She doesn't really remember all the details.
Right.
Um,
She was in shock, which she never got therapy for and all that, you know.
yeah.
That's what happens.
So Turner ends up calling Angela and saying that he knows what really happened, and if she wants Emma back, she has to pay him $10,000. I was like, that's it, 10,000. It's like a drop in the
Yeah,
bucket.
right? Yeah, seriously. I've been like,
I
here you
mean,
go.
it is
Thanks.
1981, so I guess 10,000 went a little bit further, but still only 10.
Yeah, it might have been like 100,000 in today's money.
Not
I'm
even
not
like
sure how it
50 or
works.
25, like 10.
Right. I feel like they had more money on Dallas, they mentioned. I don't know.
Hello.
Listen carefully, because I know what happened to your brother Jason the night he died.
Who is this?
I know the truth. And you know how I know? Your daughter told me.
Emma?
That's right. 10,000 cash. Small bills, you have it ready. I'll call you back.
Now you listen to me, Turner Bates. Kidnapping is a federal offense. Now you have precisely 1 hour to return my daughter unharmed, or I promise you, you'll regret the day you ever saw Falcon Crest. Do you understand that?
He ends up, Vicky goes to the spring house looking for Emma, and he ends up like holding them hostage sort of in the spring house.
Yeah.
And prior to that, him and Emma had made love. Well, they made love. And Emma's like, well, I have to go away. And I laughed because he was like, will you shut up? Because she's just like, going on and on. And she's like, how could
Being
you
Emma.
speak to me like that after all we've been through?
Here. So cool and calm and reassuring. Secluded among the pines so that no one would ever know we were here.
Will you shut?
Also, when she starts to kind of remember details when she's in the spring house, she gets like this, I don't even know what you would call it. I'm like, why does she sound like she's from Jersey? Her accent was.
She might be.
I was like, she doesn't sound like anybody else in the family.
Yeah, right.
But I love the character. I love how quirky she is. So it's not a judgment.
Oh yeah, I
just
love Emma. She's
an
great.
observation.
Yeah.
So he ends up locking Vicky in the spring house and taking Emma away. And while they're being chased in the car, Emma starts to have flashbacks of the night that Jason died. Both the first time and the second time.
This is good.
And
Yep.
she ends up grabbing the wheel and they crash. And the guys get her out, but before they can get Turner out, he blows up in the car. Great special
Yep.
effects for 1981. It looked very realistic.
Yeah, right.
Oh no!
Why?
Oh no!
Why,
I
Emma?
can't let it happen again!
Emma! Huh? What are you doing?
Oh no! I can't let it
No,
happen
Emma,
again!
Emma, let go! Let go! Let go! Let go! Whoa! Okay, keep going. Okay, got it. Be careful with it now. Okay, come on. Take care of her. Okay. Lance, help me with mates.
Yeah, that was cool. And Chase saved
had
Emma, by the way.
What? She what?
Chase saved Emma.
Oh, okay. Yay. I have Maggie is not pregnant. And then he's like, well, I
Right.
guess I don't have to divorce you. I was like, oh, it wasn't funny the first time. It's not funny the second time.
Oh, man.
And Julia eavesdrops on Emma and Angela's conversation about Jason's death.
Yeah.
Because Julia doesn't know about the circumstances.
She didn't know why Emma was so messed up. She just figured she just needs help for whatever's going on.
Yeah. And so
But
this is
now she
another
gets a
episode
little
that
inkling.
ends. This is another episode that ends with Angela looking concerned about what Emma has said to who about Turner or
Yeah.
Jason. She's like, well, Turner's
Right.
dead. What'd you say to Vicky, though?
Yeah, what'd you say to Vicky?
She's like, because she might have to end up dead, too.
Oh, I thought it was funny when Turner was trying to escape with Emma and she fell asleep. You remember?
Yeah.
That cracked me up. He's like, Emma, come on, we gotta. He's like, yeah. That was great. She's just done.
Well,
I'm tired.
even after all of that, when her and Angela are talking, she's like, oh, me and Turner are gonna go away together. Like, you don't remember what just happened? Like it just happened.
Right.
He's dead.
I also made
But then
a
it's almost
note,
like she has a moment where she does, because then she kind of gets sad and she's like just kind of like lays back. So it's kind of like she almost
Yeah.
realizes.
I also have a note. Remember, make note about Vicky and Maggie fought about her possibly being pregnant.
Yeah. She's like, what am I
Do you
going to do?
remember
Have to
that? And
babysit while you're off chasing a hot story?
but do you remember what happens? When was it? When Dana Sparks takes over, it happens the same fight. Remember that? And when you get to season 6,
Yeah.
it's the same
The
thing.
circumstances are a little bit different, though.
It's different.
I know
It's
what you're
different,
talking
but they have the same fight. It's weird because I was like, wait a minute, they fought about this before or after this.
Huh,
But
that
anyway.
is true. But do you have anything else?
No, not about that one. That is one of my favorites. I love anything when Emma's in a lot. I love it.
Yeah.
It makes me sad that she wasn't a full-time cast member in the first season, especially because it's focused around her. Really. Like, I don't know.
Episode 8 is called Lord of the Manor. I took very few notes on this one. I had Cole goes to Italy with Angela.
Yes.
And he meets some of his relatives. He's kind of, struggling to speak Italian to kind of communicate with them.
Right.
Lance is kind of on a power trip because there's I don't know what was he? Sloan. He was like
Jack Sloan.
A distributor or something.
Yeah.
Jack. So this confused me because I wasn't sure I was understanding the details of this. So initially I thought, Jack Sloan was had a reputation for trying to make underhanded deals.
Yeah,
within the
that's
wine
exactly
community.
what he did.
Okay, so I understood that properly. So then
yes,
it sounded like Angela had turned this guy away, but she wanted Lance to make a deal with him. No?
I think she was testing Lance. Remember when Lance said to Chase later that she was testing me? I think, and he's like, whatever. I think she was. I think she's that much of an asshole, and she needs to be able to trust them. So to see what I think she was putting him through it with him to see what he would do. And yeah, she'll probably never. I don't think she ever finds out that Chase is the one that saved the day in that situation, but it is what it is,
So then I thought that Sloan said to Lance, basically, we can sell cheaper wine and label it as a higher end and basically make double on it. And then when Lance does that, it's like a secret. So I'm like, wait, but he's doing what the deal was supposed to be. Am I not understanding it correctly?
So I know I was confused watching it too, but from what I get, so they apparently remember when they said that they knew there was only 500 crates or whatever made of this specific wine that they were looking for. I guess it was a winner, and he bought 1,000. That number one, it would make Falcon Crest look bad, which is why Lance had to get it destroyed or figure out how to stop it from happening after he did the deal. But that's why that guy paid so much money, so he could use the Falcon Crest label. Like it was, remember with the label switching and all that shit. So I'm guessing
Well, that's why
it was like
Chase and Julia got involved because they
Yes.
thought he was bottling a wine that wasn't prepared to be bottled yet. So that's why they were freaking out, because they were like, "You
He
can't
was.
do that. It's not ready." Like,
Yeah, he
yeah,
did
but
do
he
that.
wasn't.
That's
He was
why.
just
That's why
mislabeling table wine.
he was mislabeling it. But yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
say exactly what he was doing. That's why he was like, "You don't know everything." I mean, he was pretty much
Yeah.
doing that, but I guess because the Falcon, and then of course the Falcon Crest wine won the award, so then it made, it was like 100 times worse
It
if
doubled
that
the
were to go
price.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why he was able to get away with it in the end. But they had to clean all that mess up.
Well, yeah, the
Jason
end I
Bourne.
understood like how they resolved it, but like
Right.
the whole situation felt like it was Sloane's plan in the beginning. And then
It
all of
was.
a sudden
Yeah,
it was like Lance was sneakily doing it behind Sloane's back. And I was like, but
right.
it was his idea.
Yeah, it was.
So I
It
feel
was
like I missed
tricky.
a detail somewhere.
I feel
don't
like
know.
Lance was doing it to get the money because remember Angela before she left said you're gonna make this deal work out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like that's what it was. So Lance was like, I'll get the money, then I'm gonna pay this guy to destroy it, and if that guy would have destroyed it, then he would have been fine. Like
Yeah.
nothing would have happened. But then that guy wouldn't do it or whatever, and then it got sticky for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little confusing. I was confused too.
Well, the way that they got out of it, because the guy wasn't going to, he was going to sell the wine, and he didn't care if it was going to ruin
Right.
Falcon Crest's reputation. But
Right.
Chase threatened him with going to the DA because it's illegal to mislabel wine.
Right.
So then he backed down.
Yeah.
And then Lance says that they tells Angela that they could double the price now that it won the award, so she's none the wiser of the whole situation that happened, and she thinks that Lance made a great business move.
yeah, exactly. She's like, oh great. Nice.
I didn't. So there was a moment I wanted to bring up. I didn't like how he spoke to Julia when she tried to slap him and he grabbed her wrist.
Your breakfast is cold.
Coffee's all I want.
What makes you think you can do that sort of thing in this house?
What did you expect me to do, Mother? Take her to the spring house?
Anywhere but under this roof.
It's never stopped you.
Don't you ever speak to me like that again.
And don't you forget who's in charge around here, Mother.
In charge? You must be kidding.
Don't push me. I'll get it, Charlie.
Mm.
When she was like, "You think you're like Lord of the Manor," hence the name of the episode.
Yes. Yes. That's what I was gonna point that out too. I said, Julia says you can't go prancing around like you're Lord of the Manor, and I wish he would have like looked at the camera and went like this is the episode title. Get it? I love when they do that. When they say episode titles and episodes, I always love that. I'm always like, wink. But they don't do that. Oh, and I did want to point out
in response to that she found him in bed with a woman, and
yeah,
you can't just like do that. You can't bring hookups to your grandmother's house, like. And then he's like, "Why? You used to do it," and that's when she goes to slap him, and
yeah, he deserved a slap. But I also that guy Paul? Did you recognize him?
He did look familiar. Was
Lance,
he not?
Remember he got that guy Paul? No, he might have been, but he was in Sesame Street. He's Luis. Do you remember Sesame
I don't know
Street?
Sesame Street like that.
What?
No.
I grew up on Sesame Street, so I mean, he was Emilio on Sesame Street, and I wanted to point that out because he just passed away last year. So I was like,
Did
"That's
he?
Luis from Sesame Street." His name's Emilio Delgado, and So I was excited to see him. I was like, "Oh yeah, he's a Sesame Street guy."
I just assumed that I saw
But
him on another primetime soap or daytime soap because it looked familiar.
did you ever watch The Waltons, by the way?
I didn't like it, but I have seen it.
I'm curious because the guy that created this did The Waltons, so I'm curious to know how it is with I guess drama wise. So I felt like they did such a good
I
job. He
always
wrote a
assumed
lot
it
of
was
these
along the lines of
episodes.
like Little House on the Prairie.
I'm not sure. I never watched it, so I really have no idea. But I might check it out just to see, like, if I could see anything familiar in the series, like, because a lot of times creators, I don't know if you like realize it, like they'll have different things from, or like similar things from the series before that they've done, and like the other series that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you ever watch compare Nightmare on Elm Street with Deadly Blessing? Did you ever see Deadly Blessing?
No.
I only bring this up because it's Wes Craven. So in Deadly Blessing, they have a similar bath scene that Nancy has with Freddy when the claw comes up in the tub.
Okay.
Check out Deadly Blessing. He does something pretty much
Similar.
exactly the same. And that's why I was like, I wonder if a lot of them do that, like producers, directors, creators, like I'm curious to know if they have like similar episodes in a way. But I'll let you know what I come up with. Anywho.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
So do you have anything else to say about Lord of the Manor?
Oh, the letters that Cole got.
Oh, right. From the relatives.
From the Giabertis, yeah. Remember, she wanted to see the book, and he's like, "No, that's not for you. You got this picture," and she's like, "Hmm." And then at the end, they read that letter, and it says something about Jason and Angela not getting along, and they worry about the future of the family. And I was like, "Oh, damn."
That they're mortal enemies, and that he's worried
Yeah.
about the future of the family. And they all just kind of
Mhm.
look around concerned, and it ends.
Like, oh shit.
And having seen 6 more seasons at least of this, I'm like, yeah, you should be concerned.
For sure. But also, excuse me. In these episodes, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Angela's not at her full blown self quite yet.
She's
Still
not. She's still
very.
kind of holding back.
She's holding back. She's like doing little things here and there, like
I don't want to talk too far ahead, but I know she
Right.
comes this season. I'm excited for Jacqueline.
Oh yeah.
I feel like once she comes around, Angela starts to become more of the Angela that we know.
Yeah.
Because we get a little bit more history, like backstory on like them and like her marriage and how it fell
I
apart.
almost. Yeah, I know. I want to talk about it too, but I know with Jacqueline, I want to know. I mean, we found out a lot of her stuff too, but I know she has quite a history as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Also I'm excited to rewatch season 2.
Season 2 is
because
the
I'm not
best.
going to give away too many plot points, but I want to pay closer attention to the organization that brings in Richard and Jacqueline's involvement in it and everything.
Mm-hmm. See, I love.
I feel like I missed details. I just kind of accepted what they were saying, but I didn't really understand it.
I like in season 2. Well, I know we're talking way ahead, but in season 2, I like the layout of the murder. I like all that stuff, like because like especially when you know things going up, like watching it again, it's like even better because you're just like, wow, they planted this here, this here, and it almost felt like they did know what they were doing. Like even a lot of people are like, oh, I don't think they really knew who the murderer was, but when you watch it, I feel like they probably did. But even rewatching this season, I feel like they kind of were like, let's have this person do this, and I don't know. But anyway, we're only 8 episodes in, so we got a lot to watch before then.
Yeah. I'm also excited for God, I can't remember her name, and she's my favorite character. You know, Anna Alicia's character.
Anna Alicia, I love that woman. Melissa Agretti.
Melissa. How can I forget her name? She's my favorite character.
Wait,
because she
Melissa
comes
Agretti
at the end of this season. But
Yeah,
I
she
know
remember
that
that.
another actress plays her for one
Hmm.
episode, and I don't remember
Yes,
this other actress. And then
because
I'm
she doesn't
almost
even have a
curious,
word.
like, did they look that much alike that I didn't realize it?
No, they didn't.
They
She didn't
don't?
have any words. She didn't say
She didn't have
anything.
any words.
No. She might have said
So she was basically a
maybe one
glorified
line.
extra?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
don't know why or what happened in that. I think that was around episode 13. And like a lot of times, I don't know how they did it back then, but a lot of times now they give like a season of 13 episodes and then they'll
Mm-hmm.
add additional episodes. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
one of those situations where they had 13, they did them, so that Melissa, was already casted in that episode. And then once they were like, okay, I guess they had time to be like, okay, we need to make Melissa big, and then I think that's when they got Anna Alicia to play her. I'm guessing. I honestly don't know
Yeah.
because
All
it makes
right.
sense because like with the 13 episodes thing and all that, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't believe we've
All
been
right.
talking an
Well,
hour about Falcon Crest. 8 episodes.
all right. Well, thank you for joining us for our recap of the first 8 episodes of season 1 of Falcon Crest. We will be back really soon because we plan on, pushing forward and talking about it all. So until next time, have a great night, guys, and find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. Bye.
Bye, everyone.